All right, everybody, here we go. I just saw Shang-Chi, saw it in theaters at the 6 o'clock showing. Now I'm back and I'm going to do this reaction video. Raw reaction here. We're going to go spoilers free. So I'm not going to talk about any spoilers, although I might indicate some of the things that I liked and didn't like about the movie. So maybe that would, spoil some things for you. But let's get into this. Let's get into this. I'm excited. I liked the movie. Spoiler alert for that, for this video. I liked it. And make sure you smash the like button on this video. Okay, so let's get into this. Shang-Chi. Didn't know exactly what to expect with this one. What a lot of people were saying is, oh, the action's really crazy. Simu's great. It's really, really fun and all of those sort of things. I agree that it's very, very fun. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it was a very enjoyable movie, a very fun movie. I think it's a lot better than Black Widow in almost every single way. Acting, stakes, action, so much going on in this movie. But what's kind of interesting for me is that as I was watching the film, I liked a lot of the elements, but I didn't love the movie. And I was sort of on the fence about it. If I'm being completely honest with you, I was really on the fence, not on the fence in the sense that I was like, oh, I'm gonna dislike this movie or whatever. But I was literally on the fence where I was like, I don't know if this thing's gonna be special. I don't know if this is gonna be a special movie at all. And you guys know me, I gotta be honest about these sort of things, right? I gotta be 100% honest about these things. And so I was fearing that I was gonna have to come out here and be like, yeah, I really didn't like this freaking movie. And then all of you would get all mad at me in the comment section and come bug me on live streams. Now, luckily, that didn't happen. And it happened in an interesting way for me. The third act of the film, essentially, I'm going to skip all the way into that and say that right at the third act and right at one of the big conflicts at the end, I was nervous. I was really nervous that we were going to get into your average MCU ending, right? I mean, just a big old fight, you know what I mean? And this is the big old fight. Here's the stakes, and the good guys are going to win. And I was actually kind of dreading that. I was like, man, if this particular movie, with all the things that it did, just ends with that kind of a situation, I'm probably gonna walk away from this movie, enjoying it, having had a good time, but really saying that it was nothing special. And the exact opposite of that happened to me, where not only did I really enjoy the end of this movie, but I feel like the end of this movie ties the whole thing together and it elevates the rest of the film, which I think ultimately is what a really great ending should do. But there were so many things that sort of shocked me with the ending of the movie and the big final kind of sequence for the film, that I ended up going from being on the fence about the movie to absolutely loving the movie. Okay, now one of the things within that final act that really just drove it home for me were some of the parallels to other moments throughout the movie that, again, I was like kind of whatever on. I was like, okay, this is cool, but let's see where they're going with this. And it feels like the ending draws some really interesting parallels to other things that happen in the movie with other characters. And one of the big things is family. And I don't think it's a spoiler at all to say, yeah, there's going to be a big conflict at the end with Tony Leung and with Simu Liu. They were excellent throughout the course of the movie, but they both really dialed it up in this final part of the film. And it's interesting because, man, I've been thinking a lot about just writing and the MCU and like why do they do so well, And one of the reasons that they really nail it in the MCU is that there'll be all this crazy stuff going on, all this plot, all this action, all these crazy elements, but then it'll take you to some moments, some just simple human moments that are one human being acting usually with just another human being, and it is very emotionally impactful. And it's like they get great actors. Like, the MCU is stacked. I mean, they've had incredible actors in the past, they have incredible actors now. I'm sure they will get more incredible actors in the future. And one of the reasons you do that is so that when you have these very human moments, it just hits you, man, and it strikes a chord with you. And I felt like there were things they were doing, playing with the idea of father and son and playing with the idea of family and this identity, right? This thing that they were doing with Simu's character was so interesting, but it comes to like a head in a really, really interesting way at the end of the film. And to be fair, the plot of the movie, even though some of it, was kind of, you could see it coming from a mile away, there were things that really surprised me, and just how crazy they go with certain elements was really impressive. I'm a big, big fan of fantasy, of, let's just say magic or mysticism, these kind of things within movies, but they have to be done the right way, with the right intention in the film, to draw out this sense of awe within us, but then to reconnect that sense of awe and mystery with human and really human things. The movie does a great job with that, and honestly, Tony Leung as a character is so important to this movie. He's almost the main character in many ways, and his journey was really, really interesting. I felt for the dude. I think even the people that were standing up against him, like Simu, even that character feels for him. Like, he feels for his dad, and he understands where his dad is coming from. And there's this idea of sort of, using a thing that you really, really love sort of against you in some ways, which is really interesting. Now, before I talk about some more things that I really, really liked about the movie, let's talk about a couple of things that I actually surprisingly did not like. And, a lot of people were talking about how great the action is in this movie, and that's true. The action is incredible. I particularly think the scene that we've seen in some of the previews on the bus in San Francisco, that was absolutely fantastic. Loved that sequence. A lot of fun. And then the stuff they do at the end of the film, incredibly ambitious. The fight that you've seen with Simu using the 10 rings, again, not a big spoiler. This is in some of the promotional work. Incredible scene. They do all sorts of fun stuff with that action. But although I agree that a lot of the film has incredible action, I don't think the fighting in this movie or the choreography of the actual hand-to-hand combat is better than a lot of the stuff you get in the MCU. In fact, some of the sequences from Black Widow, particularly the sequence where Natasha is fighting her sister, is legitimately better hand-to-hand combat than what you get in a lot of parts of this film. And I was kind of trying to rack my brain on like where my disconnect was with some of the action sequences in this film, and I think that the choreography is not as strong, and the cinematography is so ambitious, and it's like flying around trying to do all these crazy things to like really create this crazy sense of awe, that there's something lost there. It kind of reminds me of, if you watch the Transformers movies, right? One of my big complaints of those films is that the special effects on the Transformers changing is cool, but then you add in this crazy cinematography where like the camera's like going in with the gears and like flipping around the thing as it's transforming, and you totally lose yourself, and you can't quite appreciate the cool effects because the cinematography is sort of distracting you. I felt like that happened several times throughout this movie, where the cinematography is so ambitious and crazy that it dwarfed and kind of made the choreography of the fighting not look as good. Like, I think stuff in Civil War was better. I think stuff in The Winter Soldier was better. Like, there've just been a lot better hand-to-hand fights for characters that aren't even like this crazy kung fu master type dude, which, I don't know, like, for me, that was a little weird. I was like, man, everybody was amping up all the action in this movie, and the action's good. But for me personally, I don't feel like the fighting and the fight sequences are as strong as they could be. Now, again, when he, at the end of the movie, it's crazy, and it's crazy good. And I think moving forward, they'll be able to do all sorts of cool stuff with Shang-Chi and with, the 10 rings and all of that sort of stuff. So that'll be really, really cool. But that's something that I wasn't exactly crazy about. And another thing that I wasn't exactly crazy about was Awkwafina. Now, I don't think she's bad in the movie, but to be honest with you, there's just a lot of moments in the film where I'm like, why is she still here? Like, it's crazy. It kind of reminds me of like Lois Lane in some of the Zack Snyder Justice League movies, where it's like, dude, Lois Lane pops up everywhere. She's just popping up, man. In Batman v Superman, she's popping up all the time. I just felt like it was a little weird, and I had trouble letting go of my disbelief on why the character of Katie was so involved with so many different aspects of this movie. Like, she probably should have just stayed over in the States. And honestly, the movie might have been a little bit better for me, especially because they bring in other ways to do comedy. So I don't know. To me, that was just another thing that I wasn't exactly crazy about in the movie. Your mileage may vary on that, but I was like, yo, Aquafina, for real? Now, another really, really cool part of the movie is how much fun MCU stuff is in the film. There's stuff that happens in the movie and in, some post credit scenes. Yeah, there's post credit scenes if you didn't know. But there's stuff that I'm still confused about, trying to rack my brain about, and I'm really intrigued by. There was a number of different really fun teases that I thought were great and do a great job of getting me as a Marvel fan excited, because it feels like, yeah, we're all playing together on the same team in the same sandbox. Crazy stuff's going on. You can kind of see the direction of things, and so that part of it was really, really cool. But I think to me, the strongest part of the movie is really Simu's performance juxtaposed against Tony Leung's performance. These characters were great, and Simu, again, especially at the end, he absolutely crushes it and brings just like this veracity, this gusto, he's definitely a movie star, and I can see why they picked him. And I thought, surprisingly, because he's so funny, like on social media and things of that nature, he's really not a comedic relief in this movie. He's a little bit funny, and there's aspects of his character that are kind of interesting, but to be honest with you, he's really not a comedic character. He's very serious, and there are certain parts of the movie where he's very, very serious. And so that kind of stuff, especially for actors that are thought of to be a little bit funny, can be challenging. And I felt like he nailed it, and I'm very excited to see him, working across from some of the other great talent that we have in the MCU. I think he's going to be a force in the MCU moving forward. And so, great to have him in the MCU. And this movie was great, man. If I had to give it a rating, because some people were asking me about this on Twitter after I was talking about it, I would probably say 8.5 out of 10, which is really strong. That's a really strong rating for me. And again, it was riding on that 7.57 area for me. And then that third act just brought in a whole bunch of oomph for the movie. So I really, really liked it. It's not quite cool enough to get me to go check it out in theaters again. I'm going to just wait for the digital release to watch it again. And we'll talk more about this on the stream tomorrow when I go full spoilers. But there was a baby in our theater. Yeah, somebody brought their kids into the theater, and especially at the end, the kid would not shut up. Would have much preferred to be at home watching it on the OLED. But, we'll talk about that in future videos. So there it is, guys. There's my reaction to Shang-Chi. Love the movie. 8.5 out of 10. Very excited to see where we go from here with this character and with some of the elements in here. We'll be doing a full spoiler review tomorrow on the live streaming channel, and I'm going to be doing some videos about different elements from the movie, scenes and things that are teased that will have impact on the MCU moving forward. So subscribe to this channel, like this video if you liked it, check out the live streaming channel, and as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.